What if the summer you thought would heal your heart ended up breaking it into pieces you never imagined? That's exactly what episode 8 of The Summer I Turned Pretty Season 3 does. It pulls us into the rawest, most heartbreaking chapter of the story so far. Everything we thought we knew about Belly, Conrad, and Jeremyr's journey is tested, and by the end, it feels less like a coming-of-age romance and more like a story about love, loss, and the painful reality of growing up. This is the episode where the summer magic feels heavier, where the sunsets seem less golden, and where the choices made will shape every future season. The stage for episode 8 is set by the lingering emotions of episode 7, which was already layered with tension and unresolved feelings. Going into this new chapter, Belly is not just caught between Conrad and Jeremy, she is caught between two versions of herself. On one side, there's the comfort of what she's always known, the history she shares with Conrad, filled with memories of Susannah and summers that felt endless. On the other side, there's the stability and warmth Jeremy offers, a love that feels safer but not without its own cracks. Episode 8 wastes no time reminding us that this isn't just about romance. It's about family, grief, and the heavy shadow Susannah's absence continues to cast. Laurel's quiet presence in this episode adds even more weight. As she represents the anchor to reality, she's the reminder that love can be messy, imperfect, and sometimes heartbreaking, but it is still worth holding on to. The beauty of this setup lies in how ordinary moments are painted with extraordinary emotion. A dinner conversation isn't just small talk, it's layered with hidden pain and unspoken words. A walk along the beach isn't just a stroll, it's a reminder of summers past when things felt lighter. Episode 8 captures that fragile in-between space where youth meets adulthood, where laughter is followed quickly by silence, and where every glance carries a history. Belly feels this more than anyone, and as viewers, we are pulled into her struggle. She wants to move forward, but the ghosts of her past summers won't let go. The sadness builds slowly, like the tide coming in, and by the time the waves crash, we're already drowning in the emotions with her. It's in these opening scenes that we start to understand why episode 8 is so devastating. It doesn't rely on shocking twists or sudden drama. It leans on the quiet pain of characters who have grown up in front of us and now must face the consequences of their choices. Every look, every pause, every unsaid word feels heavier than the last. The family house, once a place of joy, feels like it's holding its breath, as though the walls themselves know that this summer will end differently than the others. And for Belly, it's not just about choosing between Conrad and Jeremy anymore. It's about realizing that no matter which path she takes, something will be lost. That's what makes this setup so powerful. Episode 8 reminds us that sometimes the saddest endings aren't the ones filled with loud goodbyes, but the ones whispered quietly in the moments we never forget. Asterisk, the love triangle in episode 8 doesn't just create tension, it completely transforms the tone of the story, pushing every character to a breaking point where feelings can no longer stay hidden. For most of season 3, we've watched Belly move back and forth between Conrad and Jeremy, trying to make sense of her heart, but in this episode, the tug-of-war reaches its rawest and most painful form. What makes this section stand out is not just the arguments or the dramatic confessions, but the quiet truths that come to the surface. Conrad's reserved, guarded nature collides with Jeremy's open, vulnerable approach, and Belly is left feeling like she's standing between two storms. Every word, every touch, every silence in episode 8 feels magnified, because we know this is the point where choices stop being temporary and start shaping futures. Conrad has always been the harder one to read his emotions layered under walls. He built long before Belly ever truly knew him. In this episode, his struggle is clearer than ever. He loves Belly deeply, but his fear of losing her, and his guilt tied to Susannah's memory, stop him from saying the words she needs to hear. Instead of expressing himself directly, Conrad shows his love in fragment small gestures, a look that lingers too long, a half-finished sentence that says more than any confession could. For viewers, this makes his side of the triangle feel heartbreaking, Because it's not that Conrad doesn't care, it's that he cares too much to risk ruining what little remains of their fragile connection. Episode 8 captures that beautifully, and it leaves us wondering if unspoken love can survive when faced with someone who's willing to say it out loud. Jeremiah, on the other hand, brings the opposite energy. He wears his heart on his sleeve, and in this episode his vulnerability shines brighter than ever. His moments with Belly are tender, filled with honesty, but also heavy with desperation. He knows he's always been the second choice in Belly's heart, even if she doesn't admit it. And episode 8 makes it painfully clear that Jeremiah is fighting for something that feels like it might already be slipping away. His openness is what makes his relationship with Belly comforting. He tells her what she means to him. He's present, he's consistent. Yet, underneath his sweetness, there's a quiet ache, because deep down, Jeremiah knows that love alone may not be enough to rewrite the history Belly and Conrad share. Episode 8 forces him to face that reality, and it's one of the saddest layers of this triangle. Belly herself is the emotional core of this storm. Watching her try to balance the weight of two very different loves is what makes this episode so emotionally gripping. She's torn between Conrad's history and Jeremiah's stability, between passion and peace, between the love that feels destined and the love that feels safe. What makes episode 8 so powerful is how it doesn't let her escape the pain of that choice. We see her struggling in moments of silence, sitting with memories, questioning herself, and realizing that no matter what she decides, heartbreak is inevitable. Her inner conflict is written all over her face, in the way she hesitates when one of the boys reaches for her hand, or in the way her eyes linger on Conrad even when she's with Jeremiah. It's subtle but devastating because we know she's not just choosing between two brothers, she's choosing what kind of person she wants to be moving forward. The triangle in episode 8 isn't about winning or losing, it's about sacrifice. It's about the realization that love always comes with pain, and sometimes choosing one person means breaking the heart of another. By the time this section of the story unfolds, the audience feels the weight of every decision right alongside Belly. We feel Conrad's silence like a knife, Jeremiah's pleas like an open wound, and Belly's indecision like a crushing wave. And that's why episode 8 is the saddest of the season. It forces us to accept that there is no perfect ending to this triangle. Someone will always be left behind, and the love that remains will always carry the shadow of the love that was lost. Episode 8 reaches its emotional peak in the saddest moments, the kind that stay with you long after the credits roll. What makes these scenes hit so hard is not just the heartbreak itself, but the way the show layers pain with honesty. Every tear, every pause, every word spoken or left unsaid feels like a weight pressing on both the characters and the viewers. This is where The Summer I Turned Pretty stops being a simple love story and becomes something raw, an exploration of grief, longing, and the cost of growing up. It's not the kind of sadness that comes from sudden shocks. It's the quiet sadness of realizing that some things you hoped would last forever are slipping away, no matter how much you fight to hold on to them. One of the saddest elements of this episode is how much Susannah's memory continues to haunt the characters. Though she isn't physically present, her absence is everywhere, in the way Laurel looks at Belly when she struggles to decide, in the way Conrad avoids conversations about the future, and in the way Jeremiah tries to keep the summer house filled with laughter to cover up the silence left behind. There's a heartbreaking moment when Belly revisits a place in the house tied to Susannah, and the weight of everything hits her. She realizes that every choice she makes about her life is also tied to Susannah's dream of her children finding happiness. That realization makes her decision even harder, because it's no longer just about what she wants, it's about honoring someone she loved and lost. The grief of Susannah's death is like a ghost that hovers over every scene, reminding everyone that even love can't shield you from loss. Another moment that cuts deep is Belly's confrontation with her own heart. She's always tried to convince herself she can figure it all out, that her feelings will eventually become clear. But in episode 8, she has to face the reality that she may be breaking someone's heart no matter what. There's a scene where She breaks down, overwhelmed by the pressure of it all. It's not loud or dramatic, it's quiet, intimate, and painfully real. You can see her torn apart by guilt, knowing that by choosing one brother, she's not only hurting the other, but also changing their bond forever. That's what makes this triangle so tragic in this episode. It's not just about romance, it's about family, about memories, about the possibility that the magic of their summers together will never be the same again. And then, of course, there's the confrontation between Conrad and Jeremiah. For seasons, we've watched their rivalry build, but in episode 8, the gloves finally come off in a way that feels heartbreaking rather than satisfying. This isn't a fight about winning, it's about losing. Both brothers know that whatever happens, one of them will walk away shattered. And even the one chosen won't walk away unscarred. Their words sting because they're laced with years of buried resentment about who's always been the favorite, who's always gotten the girl, who's always carried the heavier burdens. But beneath the anger, you can feel the love too, which makes it even sadder. They're not just brothers fighting over Belly, they're brothers fighting to hold on to each other, knowing that this triangle is tearing them apart in ways that might never fully heal. The quietest moment, though, might be the saddest of all. After all the arguments and confessions, there's a scene where Belly is left alone, sitting in silence, processing everything. No music, no dialogue, just the weight of what's happened. In that moment, you realize the true tragedy of episode 8. Belly isn't just losing one of the Fisher boys. She's losing the innocence of her summers, the version of herself who believed love was simple, who thought everything could be fixed with a choice. That version of Belly is gone, replaced by someone who understands that love comes with sacrifice, that growing up means letting go, and that sometimes the people you love most are the ones you end up hurting the deepest. By the end of this section of the story, the sadness is not just in the characters, it's in us too. We feel it in our chest, like we've lived it ourselves, because the episode doesn't just show heartbreak, it makes us remember our own. And that's why episode 8 stands apart. It's not the kind of sadness you forget when the screen fades to black. It lingers like a bruise on your heart, reminding you that love, no matter how beautiful, can sometimes leave the deepest scars. The ending of episode 8 is where all the heartbreak, tension, and unspoken emotions come crashing down into one unforgettable conclusion. This isn't just another cliffhanger, it's the kind of ending that makes you sit in silence, staring at the screen long after it's over, because the weight of what you've seen refuses to let you go. What makes it so devastating is that it feels both inevitable and unbearable. All the build-up from the season, the love triangle, the grief, the fragile bonds between the characters culminates in a moment that doesn't give us a happy resolution, but instead forces everyone, including us as viewers, to accept the pain that comes with growing up. It's not just the saddest ending of the season, it's the kind of ending that defines the entire story of The Summer I Turned Pretty. The confrontation that leads to the ending is messy and raw. Belly, Conrad, and Jeremiah can no longer dance around their feelings. The truth is out, and it's brutal. Conrad, in his quiet and guarded way, finally opens up in a way he never has before. His words aren't polished or perfect. They're broken but deeply honest. He admits how much Belly means to him, but also how much fear and guilt he's carried since Susannah's death. He confesses that he doesn't know how to love without breaking something in the process. And that honesty, though painful, is perhaps the most vulnerable thing he's ever said. Jeremiah, standing on the other side of this storm, refuses to hold back. He tells Belly how long he's waited, how much he's given, and how deeply it hurts to always be the one standing in Conrad's shadow. For once, he doesn't hide his pain behind charm or lightness, he lays it bare, and it cuts through the moment like a knife. Belly, caught between them, makes the hardest choice of her life. The tragedy of the ending is not just in who she chooses, but in the realization that no matter what, she's breaking someone's heart. The show doesn't frame this decision as a victory for one brother or a loss for the other. It frames it as a wound that changes all of them forever. In her final words, in her trembling voice and tear-filled eyes, we see the exact moment when her innocence slips away. She understands, maybe for the first time, that love isn't just about joy and passion, it's about consequences. And in choosing, she not only defines her future but also ends the summer magic that once seemed uncheckable. The sadness doesn't stop with Belly's choice. The ending lingers on Conrad and Jeremiah in a way that shows us just how deep the damage goes. For Conrad, the heartbreak is quiet. He doesn't lash out or beg. He simply absorbs the pain, his silence speaking louder than any words ever could. It's the kind of silence that reminds us why he's always been the hardest to read. He carries his sorrow like a secret, even when it's written all over his face. Jeremiah, on the other hand, wears his heartbreak openly. His pain is visible, raw, almost unbearable to watch. Whether he's the one chosen or the one left behind, the truth is clear. He's shattered because the love triangle has cost him not just Belly, but also pieces of his relationship with his brother. This fracture between the Fisher boys is one of the most tragic parts of the ending, because it's not just about losing Belly, it's about losing each other. The closing scene of the episode drives home the theme of loss in the most powerful way. Belly, alone, reflects on the summer and everything it has taken from her. The summer house, once a symbol of joy and childhood wonder, now feels like a place of endings. The camera lingers on the beach, on the fading sunlight, on the shadows of memories that can never be relived. It's a haunting image. The summer that was supposed to be filled with love and laughter ends in tears and silence. The show doesn't offer a neat resolution because that's not how life works. Instead, it leaves us with the uncomfortable truth that love and loss are forever intertwined, and that sometimes the hardest part of growing up is realizing that happy endings don't always exist. What makes this ending so unforgettable is how deeply it resonates with the audience. We've all been there, caught between choices that hurt, carrying the weight of love that doesn't fit neatly into the fairy tales we grew up believing in. Episode 8 taps into that universal ache, reminding us that heartbreak isn't just a plot point, it's a part of life. And as the screen fades to black, we're left with the echo of Belly's sadness, the brothers' fractured bond, and the haunting realization that nothing will ever be the same again. This is why Episode 8 is called the saddest of the season, because it doesn't just end a chapter of the story. It ends a piece of their youth, leaving us all mourning what's been lost.